right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call the council's regular meeting of May 19th to order. If everyone could please stand, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Tompkins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Getting right to the agenda, there's no presentations this evening. We do have a public hearing scheduled, and I will ask the town clerk to read the call to the public hearing, please.
Thank you. Notice is hereby given that the Plainville Town Council will hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Monday, May 19th, 2025, in the council chambers of the Municipal Center in Plainville to hear public comments and consider proposals for the 2025 Neighborhood Assistance Act, dated at Plainville, Connecticut, this 15th day of May, 2025.
All right, thank you. Before I open it up for public comment, is there anything we want to share? I know the neighborhood assistance, we go through this every year, and we do have an application this year.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yes. The Neighborhood Assistance Act is an annual process that matches nonprofits with corporations for tax credits. This is the front end of the process in which the organizations, in this case a nonprofit, who may not have a physical location in here, but can and is eligible to proceed because they have a service clientele in this community. So that is the connection, although they may not have a presence here, is because of the connection through services that they provide and the programs. And so that if they're successful going forward, a success for them would be on the back end, connecting with a company that would be eligible for the tax credit, and then they put out their piece, which is in here in the documents about their requests and what they're looking for in order to make improvements to their HVAC system and so forth. So this is a sort of I think of it as a matching program, but that's essentially how it works, and that's why we're here today for this particular program.
All right, thank you. Any questions from any council members before I open up for comment? All right, so at this point, if anyone wishes to address the council on the public hearing tonight, please step forward to the podium, give your name and address. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council on the public hearing? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Donald Tinney, 17 Hillscrest Road. And I just have to say, I don't know what this is. I read on the state site, I have in concept.
Just hit the button at the bottom there. Thank you.
Okay, I understand in concept what it is, but even what Mr. Paulus just said, okay, so it sounds like an organization that does business in this town.
Well, so the Prudence Crandall Center
okay,
is looking to do some HVAC work on their Rose Hill energy efficient project.
And where are they physically located?
New Britain.
Okay, but I guess you have to understand that, this has come up quite a bit where we have public hearings, but we don't know enough about the issues to speak intelligently. I mean, I don't know, if I heard very cryptically, it's not, it's somebody that provides service here, and they're going to link to a business, and the business is in town and gets a tax credit?
Well, it doesn't have to be a bit. It doesn't have.
But
to
what
be a
we're
business.
talking about, the application.
That's yes. The application is a nonprofit looking to get a company to, for lack of a better word, sponsor through a tax credit that they would get through the state in terms of funding.
So is it a tax credit in the town?
No, through the
The organization gets the credit.
Well, I guess what I'm really trying to say is I think we need to be more forthcoming with information before we have a public hearing. We went through this whole thing with the Tilcon and other things where, I don't feel like I have enough information to speak intelligently. Do I have enough? It sounds like a great idea, but I think we need to be more transparent and more communicative. We have a social media specialist that we hired, a year ago. Maybe we need to do more with social media to to get out, what is this? You know, there's a public hearing. I don't even know what it is. I didn't know what it is until, well, I did. I
No,
read
and I
about
understand,
it.
and, you know, this isn't, the you know, we talked about this at the previous meetings,
Yeah.
but we're not coming in, and maybe that's the problem, is I'm looking at it from this side where we have all the
Yeah,
information and
yeah.
not understanding that, you know.
And you
the
know, you're
specifics.
encouraged.
But I don't think, I agree with you. I do think there's probably something we can do, especially with public hearings regarding giving a little bit of information, whether it's on the agenda or whether it's, you know, when we make our agenda public, you know, can we give a few sentences explanation of why we're having the public hearing?
Yes, absolutely.
something
No,
possible?
I think it's a point well taken, that I'm thinking in terms of our website, you know, and additional information in a program like this may even benefit through, you know, more publication, more local nonprofits. It does not guarantee, just because you go through this process, that you're going to get funded, but
Right.
it's the first step.
Yeah.
So maybe it will, through better promotion, understanding, maybe it'll allow more nonprofits to think about taking on that challenge, and maybe they would submit an application.
Well, I
Okay.
think you need to think about the residents, because I hear more and more that residents think everything is done kind of in the back room, that we don't really know, we aren't really informed. And I'm starting to feel that way, that we don't really have, and in this day and age, oh my gosh, everything should be out there. It shouldn't cost a lot. It shouldn't, you know, if we already have a social media person on staff, it shouldn't cost any more. We just need to do better with what we have, I think.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would just add, you had said once our agenda comes out, we could actually do it 2 weeks earlier, because that's when we set the public hearing.
No, we did
It's
set
at
the public
previous
hearing
meeting.
at the last meeting.
So
yes.
we could have 2 weeks to get it out to people.
Okay, good point. All right. Anyone else wish to address the council on the public hearing tonight? All right, thank you for your comments. We'll close the public hearing. We do have some minutes that need to be approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Tompkins.
motion to approve the minutes of May 5th, 2025, regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, announcements and reports. Councilwoman Moranti.
Yeah, I did attend the meetings of the 3 groups to which I'm the liaison. Committee on Aging, couple of highlights. They're revising the membership form. The position of director has been posted. You know, we're losing Sean Cohen, one of the longest, I think, running employees, and certainly a very distinguished career here in Plainville, but she is retiring. And they are looking forward to their new dial-a-ride vehicle. It's a different kind of model. It's going to be something a little bit smaller, which is going to be a little more economical, and be able to do a lot of short runs where they only have 1 or 2 or 3 people. And they did want, the committee wanted to extend thank you to the town council for including that and dial-a-ride in the budget. Library trustees, obviously they discussed the issue with the sewer line a number of weeks ago. Which is being repaired, but the strategic plan, they're continuing to address and look at the different projects that come under it, and they're really looking forward to the makerspace that will be put into place, and some of the staff development plans. And at Conservation Commission, the river cleanup, which is the beginning of the Quinnipiac River, was very successful. 2 kind of exciting pieces of news is more turtles are nesting at Tomaso Nature Park, and there's been several eagle sightings at Paderewski Park. They're continuing with Sustainable Connecticut, looking at 1 or 2 specific initiatives. And Earth Day was successful. They distributed the seedlings again to elementary grade. And another loss, the chairperson, as we'll come to in a little while at our meeting, Marge Burris is retiring once again after being on the commission and serving as chair for many years. Also a very distinguished service.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with the announcement or report?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilwoman Christopher.
Monday's Memorial Day, and the parade is happening. So I just want everyone to know it starts at 9 a.m. and it will be the same route as last year, and we're hoping many will attend.
And not get wet.
And, okay, I'm not saying anything, 'cause I got yelled at.
Knock on wood.
Reporting the weather.
Anyone else with an announcement or a report?
If you're gonna be in the parade,
Oh,
please be in your spot like 8:15,
8:30, yeah, latest.
between 8:15, 8:30, so that we can make sure that we got the parade lined up to go at 9 o'clock.
All right.
Thank you.
So yes, everyone, 8:15 to 8:30, if you're participating in the parade, please. Just over the weekend, I had the opportunity to help set up or put up flags for all the veterans who are in, whether it was East Street Cemetery, West Cemetery, or St. Joseph's. What was there, probably 20-something people. But we were able to get the flags. I encourage everyone, just to take a look and walk through the cemeteries. And for me, it was a little bit eye-opening. I hadn't done it for a number of years, but just to see the history and see those of, especially the people you knew growing up who actually served that I didn't, there was 3 that I didn't actually know served. And it was just a very eye-opening. It was, I don't know, it just felt good doing something, and giving back in that little way. But, we have veterans from the Civil War that were in West Cemetery. Even I believe the Spanish-American War, there's a couple in town. But, it was just nice to see all the flags. I'm sure today it looked great with all the wind, with all the flags out there. Especially, I know St. Joseph's, it felt like we put up 1,000 flags or so. But if you get a chance, I encourage anyone to take a ride through the cemeteries. I think you'd enjoy it.
beautiful.
Anyone else with any announcement or report? All right, we can move to item 5, appointments and resignations. We do have a couple motions to make.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Underwood.
motion to appoint Jonathan Evans as a regular firefighter to the Plainville Fire Department.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Glad we're adding someone to the fire department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2,
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Moran.
a motion to ratify the town manager's acceptance of Marguerite Burris's resignation from the Conservation Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
As I said earlier, Marge has served, she's been very dedicated to to conservation and to the environment here in Plainville, and I hope that we can, maybe have her at a meeting and we could recognize her
Yes.
service in the future.
I agree. That she will be missed, for sure. And she was a big part of the commission, and I think your point is well taken that we should recognize her at some point.
All right. Any other appointments or appointments or resignations this evening?
Did we vote?
Oh, we do technically have to vote. Thank you. I mean, that's technically we have to vote, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, my grandmother's gonna give me a call when she rewatches this meeting.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. If I did it wrong, I'd hear about it. Any other appointments and resignations? Again, I just encourage, we do have several vacancies on, especially our land use boards, inland wetlands. There's several for regular members. I know there's a couple, I believe, alternates for planning and zoning, as well as zoning board of appeals. Hopefully, if you're out there, you're interested in learning a little bit more about what a land use board does, please feel free to apply. We'll have town manager will be happy to reach out to you and sit down and talk a little bit about it, but we desperately need some volunteers on those commissions. So if you're interested at all, please don't hesitate to call the town manager's office to get involved. All right, and I believe there's a board is meeting right now, so we'll move right to item 7, report of the town attorney. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few things. The Charter Revision Commission is going to have a public hearing this Wednesday on their final recommendations and have a meeting afterwards, and we'll be finalizing the report on time. The Fire Department Review Subcommittee has done quite a bit of work. We've had substantial drafting of amendments to our ordinance and have considered a number of other options, and we're still working on that, but we're going to have our work wrapped up, I'm sure, in a timely manner, probably before the end of June. And we have been working on getting a Pura grant regarding an open space, that we found some stuff. We found some papers this morning that I am pretty hopeful that we will receive a substantial grant regarding that. And the last thing was that we have looked, and I'll let the manager talk more about this, we did look at the massage establishment ordinance, and we're taking a look at that. So that's basically the report of what there's other things we've been working on too, but the things you might want to know about. If anybody has any questions.
All right, any questions, comments?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this point, the town manager's report, item 8. Good evening.
Good evening. I have 5 items that I'll report on, and the 6th item happenings I'll turn over to Andy. But I'm going to kick off with item number 1, which is the upcoming bond referendum for June 3rd. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to read through the questions and give some more detail to that. So question number 1 involves the Shuttle Meadow pump station. The proposed ordinance, if approved by voters, will authorize the town to appropriate approximately $3,175,896 to be funded from grants and borrowings as described below for costs associated with or related to the Shuttle Meadow Pump Station Rehabilitation Project, consisting of a replacement of existing pumps and motors with submersible-style pumps, mixers, instrumentation, equipment, piping, valves within a new precast wet well and valve vault, replacement of existing control and generator building with a new pre-engineered and fabricated electrical building and all new electrical pump controls, instrumentation, generator, new variable frequency drives, modifications to the existing wet well, and targeted demolition of existing components and site work. So the ordinance would authorize the town to finance the appropriation through the issuance of bonds, notes, or temporary notes in the amount not to exceed $3,175,896. The town anticipates receiving a loan in the amount of $3,175,896 from the state of Connecticut's Clean Water Fund program to be paid over a 20-year term at an interest rate of 2%, which this particular project and its funding is different from the rest of the questions, which are municipal bonds. So this will go through the Clean Water Act at 20-year 2%. Item number 2, the proposed ordinance, if approved by the voters, authorize the town to appropriate $6 million for the road and related improvements program. This is essentially a paving program for roads. This appropriation will fund the costs associated with various roads and related infrastructure improvements, which would be determined by the town council from time to time. The ordinance would also authorize the town to finance the appropriation through the issuance of bonds, notes, or temporary notes in the amount not to exceed $6 million. The types of improvements that may be included in the project are expected to be included but not limited to base rehabilitation, reconstruction of roadways, milling, paving, road surface restoration, chip and crack sealing restoration or installation of sidewalks, landscaping restoration, and drainage improvements as necessary or desirable. So again, this is a continuation of 2 previous bond issuances, pretty much take us over a 5-year period for those fundings, doing a section or a certain amount of roads per year as we draw down in those funds, and we typically have done that over a 5-year period. Item number 3, the proposed ordinance, if approved by the voters, will authorize the town to appropriate $1 million for the acquisition of new public works facility. This appropriation would fund the costs associated with land acquisition, site work and development, and architectural design and engineering. The property proposed for acquisition is located at 0 Camp Street and consists of approximately 13.7 acres, which is a portion of a larger 26.3 acre parcel identified as parcel 12-C-07. The proposed new facility would be designed to accommodate the town's building and grounds and roadways department combined. Question number 4, the proposed ordinance, if approved by the voters, will authorize the town to appropriate $1 million for the Board of Education mechanical improvements. This appropriation would fund the costs associated with replacing the emergency generator at Plainville High School, repointing brick at Tofflon and Linden schools, upkeeping the pool at Plainville High School, rehabilitating the press box at Tinty Field, replacing the pool room exchange heater at Plainville High School, replacing the rooftop units over the technology education classrooms at Plainville High School, among other mechanical infrastructure improvements. And finally, question 5, the proposed ordinance, if approved by the voters, will authorize the town to appropriate $1 million for town mechanical improvements. This appropriation would fund the costs associated with replacing the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning HVAC systems at Plainville Public Library, Plainville Senior Center, Plainville Firehouse, replacing the roof at the Plainville Public Library, among other mechanical and infrastructure improvements. So that is the bond. There will be, it's created a trifold explanatory text, that will be going and be mailed out as well, in addition to being on our website as well. So that is the bond referendum taking place on Tuesday, June 3rd, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah, let me just, there was a lot there. Any questions regarding the first item under the town manager's report?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
could you give a quick explanation? I don't even know how to, a layman's explanation of how these projects are gonna be funded, how much why, how they're paid for, and what they will do to our taxes and mill rate.
Well, sure, I'll try. Because they're bond issuance, they are covered under the debt service in the budget that's already been approved by voters. So this is no additional increase in terms of taxes. It is debt service. This is an appropriation and authorization to spend money on these particular items as proposed by the council.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's short enough.
And that goes for the pump station replacement, that comes out of the sewer, I mean, that's obviously comes out of the sewer department, it's a
Right, that's a bit of
completely.
a different animal because there are ratepayers involved in
Yep.
there, and their sewer fund has the ability to pay back the loan based on ratepayers. So it's separate from going to the market as a general obligation
Right.
bond, which we would for the road and the other 4 questions. This one will be a separate question, funding specifically to the Shuttle Meadow Pump Station and being run through the Clean Water Fund as a loan.
Okay,
Essentially, it is not,
Yep.
essentially, it is a loan, but it'll be paid back through the ratepayers.
okay. And again, this similar situation where, as we go forward with the sewer fund, and have to repay it, and that, it's not necessarily additional expenditure, it's something that's just going to be part of their budget as they move forward.
Right.
Okay. No, okay. Anyone else, any questions or comments regarding the referendum questions on June 3rd? All right, well, I encourage everyone, before we get off this subject, the town of Plainville, their Facebook page, the manager does some short videos which kind of explains in even probably the same detail he just did here, but if you want to review the information again, it is out on Facebook, on the town of Plainville's Facebook page. We're also, as the town manager indicated, there will be a mailer coming out also explaining what's going on and why we're asking for a referendum on June 3rd. So, and again, if anyone has any questions, you can always call Town Hall. They'll be happy to answer your questions. All right. Item 2.
Item 2, discussion on possible repeal of ordinance chapter 269. This is the massage establishment, so there was quite a bit of work and meetings involved. Met with Chief Vangeli, Susan Lonzak, Director of Health, the town planner, engineer, to consider possible modifications and any possible new language if necessary. So in our review of the ordinance, we found that the health district has a lot of weight and oversight when it comes to permitting establishments. So going forward, they'll be able to coordinate with the police department as part of their review for licensing at both the initial startup and on an annual basis. So we've had an opportunity to discuss this face-to-face and talk about the mechanics of how that would work on both the front end and on an annual basis. The health department would, again, being the lead, be able to deny a renewal of permit based on their inspection and evaluations or complaints. Consultation with the police department will also be part of the review for any report of criminal activity taking place. It's my recommendation at this point to proceed with a modification of the ordinance to include new language to create a process to request a variance, and I think I'll pause there. In talking with the town attorney, I'm using the word variance. It may not be correct in that we'll proceed with that language, and that's what was drafted up for the review for the public hearing. Should you be comfortable with sending it to public hearing, that currently the ordinance does not have that availability, and that we would write it into it, but it might likely take the form or be modified to say special permit, I think is the town attorney's comfort level in terms of, but we're gonna see what comes of the public hearing, see what other comments come forward, but we can,
So instead of variance, we're calling it a different
Yeah.
term or phrase.
If I could, Mr. Chair, the only reason for that is typically people understand a variance as permission to break the rules, which is not really what we're doing here. We're just doing another level of due diligence. So I thought calling it a special permit or a permit to show that there was another level because they're so close to these institutions that it isn't so much the effect on the company looking for the permit, but the institutions themselves, because of some negative perceptions, churches, schools, that there might be some effect on them. So because of that, I feel comfortable in having additional scrutiny before they get the permits.
Okay.
Under these circumstances. So we're gonna just change the language. I just thought that the variance language made it sound like we're giving them permission to break the rules, which we're not. That's why I wanted to change it.
And also, I think I mentioned previously, looking at a possibility of taking or modifying or repealing the ordinance and allowing this to go under the regulations of planning and zoning or some type of process that way, which in the context of how they operate, a variance would be something that could be sought. But this, in case, is a petition, or if you will, a special permit coming to the town council, not in planning and zoning. So you'd be the body to hear that request or appeal in terms of the special permit. So that's what I'm recommending that we lay out. I think it makes the most sense at this point, but obviously subject to the public hearing process. We may learn a little bit more information on this, and we can proceed appropriately.
All right.
So there is it's a work in progress. There is language in your packet that is the proposed amendment language, which would, as stated, gives that prospect or applicant the ability to petition the Plainville Town Council for variance at proposed locations within the 500 feet of facility noted above, right? So that language, if you're comfortable with, can go forward. There's an item under new business that would move this item to a public hearing
Yep.
for June 2nd.
And then in theory, if after the June 2nd public hearing, if we wanted to take action, probably the June 16th meeting would be,
That's entirely, I believe you have the ability to even make take action after the public hearing on June 2nd. If there's more additional information or something new that comes about and you want to tweak it, yes, you can go to the June 16th.
and I guess, if there is tweaking after the June 2nd public hearing, 2 weeks would be enough to get it back to us for the June 16th meeting. I guess that's my point.
I would think so,
Okay.
unless there's I mean,
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, is that if you do tweak it, you could do it on the 2nd.
Okay.
That the public hearing, that the public should understand that the point of the hearing is to give input and that you may then consider it, and there could be a change.
All right.
So they should be on notice of that. If you wanted to then come back on the 16th because you thought that there was too much or that it was significant,
Whatever reason.
you could do that too.
Okay.
I think it would be up to the council to decide that.
All right, and I just, this is something that I think, we've been talking about a couple meetings now, but, before we get to the summer schedule, I was just in my head thinking if this is something that we can wrap up potentially before we get to that. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
like we just discussed earlier about public hearings, as soon as this is as soon as we set the public hearing, can we get this out on the town website that there will be a public hearing on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, with some explanation? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I had
Councilwoman
a couple of questions. I have no objection to being, the council having the authority. I certainly don't object to that, but, is there certain benefits to that versus the planning and zoning?
And so my view would be that, first of all, we wouldn't anticipate that there would be a heavy volume of applications for this. So that should not be an issue coming to the council. But my view also would be, once you go into planning and zoning, you're gonna be, you may have some unintended consequences with regard to the statutes, et cetera. That was one of the reasons not to use the word variance. Because if we went through planning and zoning, then variance has a very specific meaning. Plus, planning and zoning is a different body. So if you were comfortable leaving the authority to them, fine. If you want to reserve it for yourselves, that's what we're recommending now. But to me, the major reason is to stay out of the planning and zoning system
Okay.
this way.
My other question would be, does the ordinance need any sort of criteria for the special permit or whatever term was finally used?
I think that we did discuss that. The manager and I did talk a little bit about that. And what we're looking at was just getting more information. So one of the things that we were talking about was to have them actually identify the owners so that if you have an LLC, all right, we want to know who the actual owners are. Like, where's the money coming from? That may be something that we look at. We didn't decide anything, but I think that it would just be a greater scrutiny because they're so close to these establishments. And we want to be clear that there's not going to be any impact on the establishments by them being there. It's more of a public perception thing that we've properly vetted them and we've checked them out.
And there would be a form that would be developed to apply for the,
That would, I think, be relatively straightforward, but once again, we would, whatever information you wanted beyond that.
okay, so we would have just some discretion over that as well. Okay, okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, what are we up to? Item 3?
Item 3, yes. So I wanted to bring this to your attention, this as the topic of the reconstruction of Camp Street and Corbin Avenue project. So it's not just a straightforward mill and paving project, although that's part of it. That's a major emphasis of this project and funding coming from the state to do this project. But there is another aspect of this project that includes requests from the state and the regional planning agency to do sidewalks and to put sidewalks in there in their effort to link the community or neighborhood to the trail, proposed trail that's to be built. And so I kind of want to put this on the map for you, literally. So in terms of paving, and I think I mentioned this in some degree, getting from here, Camp Street, all the way up to North Washington, and in talking about the trail, we've assessed this area here as not the best option because of safety issues and the traffic patterns coming here. Essentially, the target for the trail is not on here, but is in this location right here, is where the parking lot is going to be developed, and then a spur will be coming off of that to connect to the trail. So it's getting people to this point, or they could have, or they also, because the trail comes back here, saying, well, they could just come through and do the cemetery and connect that way. And again, the issue is North Washington at that point, that location there. So secondary to that, one of the other options is to look at bringing sidewalks up Bradley, up and around, and then connecting to that point. So the paving here, but the sidewalk there. And so that's what we're working with DOT, and because the project is now asking for sidewalks, we've got to go to a public hearing to inform residents, and John Bossy, our engineer, has done the mailing for that, which they'll send out to notify those individuals. So it'll be an issue, well, a public informational meeting as well as a hearing to do what they want to coordinate with us in doing both the paving and milling and paving, but with a sidewalk approach to that. And I believe it's going, I think this is the south side, so if I'm correct, this side of the street versus that side of the street. So I thought maybe a visual might help you a little bit better than just descriptions on a piece of paper. Again, the state would have to help us with the signalization here, and that's what we've asked in the design request, to get folks on this side of the street come down here. So that's a work in progress, and we'll gather more information when we talk with individual residents that may come out to speak on that issue.
Okay. Any questions, comments? No? I mean,
Not yet.
yeah, my only, trying to cross North Washington where Camp Street comes out, I can't imagine without having to add a light or something there that's even,
Right.
I would never try to cross there.
And honestly, even Bradley Street is nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least there's a light already there.
Yeah, no, I
They
know.
add sidewalks, looking at the map, I think it makes sense to try to use Bradley up to North Washington to get to that new parking lot that will be there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so there is a item under new business to set the public informational meeting and public hearing for both those for June 2nd at 6 p.m. in the municipal center. It's later on in your agenda.
All right, number 4.
Number 4 is the setting of the mill rate. So that's a process that we undertake every year now that the budget is passed. And there are, I sent out revised numbers for you. There was corrections within the state revenue process. So my numbers were off, and Rob Buden is here as well this evening to help fill in, color in the explanation, but essentially the state portion of MRSA was not carried over, so that's where we took the biggest hit to that. So essentially, what I was hoping for was going to be a 34.19 is actually will be 34.36. So there's a slight modification increase there of 0.17 from what I had told you previously, based on the numbers that we got from the state with respect to revenue on the changes, the decrease.
All right. Do we want to have Rob come up and just give an explanation? Do you mind, Rob? Maybe I shouldn't give you a yes or no question. I'd just say, why don't you just come up?
Yeah, that works. All right, so as the town manager said, there was a change in the state budget with regards to the MRSA grant, and the state's not funding it anymore. This is a grant we never budgeted to begin with anyway. until this year when we said, well, geez, we're getting $300,000-400,000 a year. Let's, put it in the budget. Well, I've gone to some meetings and it's not funded anymore. So all the numbers that you've seen before with regards to revenue and the mill rate calculation is now $400,000 less. So yesterday I went through the entire budget, nickel and dime, some line items for revenue, came up with another $150,000. Being conservative, I don't want to leave any holes out there. So essentially our revenues are $250,000 less with this $400,000 reduction, and me finding another $150 that we can possibly add back. So the mill rate that, again, the town manager mentioned was going to be 34.19, is now 34.36 with regards to the real estate and personal property. And as you know, motor vehicle is fixed at the state level, state max of 32.46. So I did the best I could to try and come up with that $400,000 amount that we are not going to get. And was only able to come up with about $150,000.
All right. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Gibbon.
What was MRSA?
Municipal revenue sharing account.
Okay.
So they just move things around.
Okay.
So it'll be another grant called something else somewhere down the road, but not next year
Not
anyway.
next year, okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Financial dashboard time?
Yes, financial dashboard. As of April 30th, if you look at the total town expenditures spent through April 30th, $56,243,718. That represents 78.13%, slightly above the two-year average of 77.11. The general government breakdown versus Board of Education, the general government has spent $22,070,290, represents 82.63. Two-year average is 82.78. On the Board of Ed side, they've spent $34,173,428, representing a percentage spent of 75.48, slightly above their two-year average of 73.77. Moving forward to the police dispatch and overtime expenditures, their expenditures through April 30th, $459,258. The two-year averages of $410,147. So they're over by $49,138 at this point. It's the dispatch overtime that is really driving that at this point. No other issues with police overtime. In the roadways expenditure, their snow overtime budget went over by about $18,000. Their expenditure through April 30th is $142,661. The two-year average $95,981. So they're in the negative $46,680 there. Building and grounds, same picture. Over in the snow and regular, their expenditure through 4/30 is $93,203. The two-year average is $50,694 for overage of $42,509. Much of that, obviously, I've been reporting out was the balloon festival that came back online. On the tonnage for hauling for solid waste, the tonnage reported through April 30th is 4,815 tons versus a two-year average of 4,744. So that's an increase of 70 tons. On the recycling side, same theme, same trend that's been happening the last couple of months. Throughout the year, actually, the tonnage is 883, and the two-year average is 966, so it's under by 83 tons. That's just been the trend, that it's, again, more on the solid waste, less on the recycling. If we move forward to revenues, in good shape there. The total town revenue collected through April 30th, 70,486,346, represents 98.42% collected. 2-year average is 97.65, so running right in line with historical averages. The current tax revenue, 54,489,455, 100% collected and right on the 2-year average as the same. The general fund, unassigned fund balance remains unchanged. Those numbers are the same. Nothing to report. Special revenue funds, recreation fund, expenditures 175,657, representing 59.34% expended. The 2-year average is 55.11%. On their revenue side, they've received 113,942, representing 50%. The 2-year average is 80, and I think that's just a lag from the spring and summer camps kicking off, and I think that revenue number will jump slightly higher. On the Robinson Airport, nothing new to report there. There hasn't been, there's been more planning and paperwork documentation than there has been in terms of revenue and expenditures there. On water pollution control, they're running right in line. Their expenditures, 4,959,633, which represents 99.81%, which is above their 2-year average of 89.71. The revenues are 4,985,594. It's 112%, and the 2-year average is 114. Higher expenditures due to the transfer for the facility study. That's the I&I that we're embarking. That report should be complete in, we're hoping, December. Library fund, pretty much the same. Their trend, expenditures $692,822, representing an expenditure of 86%, which is over their 2-year average of 79. Their revenues are $745,436, 92%. 2-year average is 96. Slight losses in terms of investment losses, in terms of the market, but nothing that would cause any alarm with respect to their revenues to expenditures. And then finally, major projects to report. The Honor Heights is pretty much wrapped up, although there was, I can report one additional closing that we're doing. I think the paperwork was in time. I think the council had set through that process a May 1st deadline, and I think we got that in, and I think we got a closing set up. So likely the last one in terms of taking advantage of the program that you put together for that. Otherwise, there may still be others looking to connect and so forth. We'll do that, but that's pretty much wrapped up. No additional information on the turf fund. ARPA funding is winding down, and Whiting Street reconstruction is also winding down in terms of trying to coordinate this week to finalize ahead of the Memorial Day Parade, along with Broad Street as well. And the road bond project is winding down this year as well, as we look for a referendum to start the next series of projects for that.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Do we have any idea with the Honor Heights sewer project, how many people we did have hook up?
Yeah, it was, 62, 62.
Okay.
It's like almost 3/4 of,
Yeah.
Wow.
something
Yeah.
like that.
It was successful by.
Yep.
yeah.
No,
I mean, from our internal, the success was getting past a certain point where, we had not just on a sheer number, but the layout and as the neighborhood, we didn't want everybody loaded off on one end of the neighborhood and no,
nobody on.
connected without,
Yeah.
moving the system. We'd have, problems in certain areas. We had enough people in different areas that it's all working,
We'll have enough flow to
enough
make
flow.
the system work properly.
Right, exactly. So, very, very, very happy about the success of that. And, again, we'll just keep on, at some point, they're all gonna be connected.
Yep,
But I think
yep.
the initial getting to at least, that 60, or so mark has been a really
Yep,
positive.
no, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, and Whiting Street, that is still in Broad.
Yeah, the weather and the rain had a little to do with it, but I think.
They'll be back out this week to.
Yeah, I'll be checking in with the engineer tomorrow, just to, for that final push to get that done.
Okay. All right. Before we open it up for happenings, any comments or questions regarding the town manager's report? All right. I guess we're ready for happenings.
Great, thank you. I know we already talked about the Memorial Day Parade. I'll just add that we did do a posting on social media with the exact parade route so folks can see exactly the parade route. It's similar, the same as last year, but if you're looking to set up, the streets are highlighted on social media. And a couple other items from the Plainville Public Library. And for information on all library programs, including registration, you can call the library at 860-793-1446 or visit www.plainvillect.com/library. The annual Plainville Schools art exhibit is concluding tomorrow, so anyone who's looking to take a look at the artwork can visit during normal library business hours tomorrow. Tuesday's the last day. Dashing to Good Health on Tuesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. A registered dietitian will educate patrons on how to lower their risk of heart disease, stroke, kidney disease by keeping their blood pressure in check with the dietary approach to stop hypertension, DASH, and the eating plan that's associated with that program. Sensory Storytime for Kids on Friday, May 23rd at 9:30 a.m. You could join for a story time with experience with songs, stories, and sensory play. It's perfect for children ages 2 to 5 who learn best through hands-on exploration. The Meet the New Library Director event hosted by the Library Board of Trustees and Friends of the Library is on Wednesday, May 28th at 6 p.m. You can enjoy some light refreshments and meet Jennifer Smith, our excellent new library director. And finally, from the Senior Center, for all information on Senior Center programs, you can call the Senior Center at 860-747-5728. All programs are free and open to the public unless otherwise indicated. Grandparents Raising Grandchildren is on Tuesday, May 20th at 10:30 a.m. This is an opportunity to share resources, ideas, struggles, and joy with fellow grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. The Vision Support Group will be meeting on Tuesday, May 27th at 10:30 a.m. This is an opportunity for those with low vision or no vision or anything in between to join this session hosted by David Furland, the Orientation and Mobility Specialist from the Connecticut Aging and Disability Services. And finally, Veterans Social Hour on Tuesday, May 27th at 10 a.m. This is conducted by Sherry Vo, the Veterans Liaison for Hartford Healthcare Senior Services, and this is open to all veterans and their spouses over the age of 60. And that's all I have for happenings.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments before we move on to public comment? All right. We will now open up public comments. Anyone that wishes to address the council may do so. Please step forward to the podium. Give your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. You'll hear a ring. The first ring means you have 30 seconds left. The second ring means that time has run out. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council this evening? Everybody's looking at John, but Go ahead, Donna.
Now you can all look at me again.
I saw everybody.
It's Donald and Tinney, 17 Hillscrest Road. This mailing is a great idea. I hope it's dumbed down. Because a part of the problem is, I read all this and we don't understand the lingo like you do. I don't understand a lot of it. So to send out a pamphlet that just repeats what we've seen on the website really doesn't do much good.
And I'll just take 10 seconds of your time, but if you have any additional questions, you can call me.
But that's
you can
not
call
the
town
point.
manager.
Yeah, but that's not the point. It's that we need to better educate the public, the people who are voting. I can ferret through it, and they know I call if I have a question.
No,
I'll
and that's-
call.
yeah.
But we need to get the rank and file to understand what they're voting for.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
And on question 3, we just heard about a cut in our funding. And I know I can't ask you a question, but
You can
just
ask a question.
food for thought. Why are we buying IUD land when we have land that we could build on that we already own? Just a question.
Okay.
And regarding the massage parlors, and I guess this is a question for our town attorney, but there have been a lot of challenges regarding owner use, land use, so that if you open the door a little bit, and someone comes in and says, I'm going to challenge you on the 14th Amendment because I own this property, it's in a business zone or a commercial zone, and I have every right to do it. And owners are challenging and making good. So just be careful. I'd be interested to know what will happen if someone challenges their ability to open a business based on the 14th Amendment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening?
Hi,
Good evening.
Damien Hordaic, 28 Rosalie Avenue. 2 or 3 things I just want to talk about real quick. So they did repave Broad Street recently. And I did notice that in front of the Cumberland Farms, or on the side of the Cumberland Farms, there's an exit path there. There's already some cracks forming. So they didn't really do a good job. So if someone could take a look at that and maybe have them come back and do it again. Second thing too, in Norton Park, between the play area and the basketball court that's on the left side over there, there's a pathway that's gravel. And when you're going from like the parking area into the gravel walkway that goes across the park, there's just dirt when you're first entering that area. I was wondering if we could just throw some gravel on top of it so
And that's
it's
over
not
like
muddy.
in where the skateboard park, that basketball court, that side
Yeah.
you're talking about, right? Okay.
So there's just like a pathway going like through the park to that little wooded area.
Okay.
So we could just throw some gravel on top of it so it's not muddy when people walk through it. And then just one comment on the pathway. Are we legally liable if someone gets hit by a car over there? Or would that go to the state? Because I think the design is just crazy.
Like at Norton Park, the walking path.
No, I'm
Park?
sorry. I'm going back to the rails, the trails, the bike path, whatever we're calling it. Just like when it's going right by the highway, off ramp, on ramp.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, it's a state project with the town, but it's just, you gotta use it at your own risk. you know.
Okay.
And then, obviously, they have to design to safety standards, and they will do that. That's why we talk a lot about where we're placing these flashing beacons and things like that, so they're
Okay.
following national safety standards and so forth.
Okay. No. Like I drive by there all the time, and people aren't good drivers.
Yeah, no, yeah, and at that point,
We all know that,
I believe that design feature there is going to be tunneling under the ramp to get to the other side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hopefully, that takes that issue of the ramp and speed and or out of the equation.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? Mr. Kislik, it's your turn.
John Kislik, 65 Forestville Avenue. I got to use my notes tonight. There's so much stuff. First of all, on financial dashboard, I didn't see anywhere. Did we get our $14,000 for the $5 tax on the nippers? Did we get it yet? Just
Is that something we can answer right now? Or do we have to get back?
We are getting that revenue coming in. I don't know the exact numbers, Rob could speak to that, but yes,
Okay,
we're getting revenue on
I
the-
read $14,000 worth of nippers. Anyway, also I see the house on 130 Trumbull Avenue has a pending, and I'm wondering if the town manager is the one who's the pending on that house. No? Oh, well.
It's not me. I did view it, I did tour it, but
Nice.
it's not me.
Okay,
It was
nice
a
house.
crowded, yeah, it was not, it is a beautiful house.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
The other thing, another reason that I have I feel a town manager should live in town. When they come into town, they're gonna tend to wanna stay here and be part of the town and not bail out like we have the Board of Ed. Superintendents and assistants, they all have headhunters, and probably from the day they get hired, they're already looking for another job. They'll bail out for $1,000. So that's an asset of the town manager. He wants to stay for a while. And while we're on that, you're doing these amendments to the town manager's contract, and the way I see it, some of these things, we are given these extensions and all kinds of different things. To me, it seems like it's being inconsistent with the terms of the charter. So I think you should be careful on that. There's just so many times you can extend this in ignoring the terms of our charter, because it's during his tenure. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out.
Okay.
And on these $1 million things for the school and the town, I think that's way out of line. I'm going to vote against it. I hope people vote against it. You're talking about the school with this heater. We replaced that heater before, and it was after the school was already in operation, I believe. And there's just so many things in there that should be taken care of in our regular budget and not these big bonding projects. I think the taxpayers are getting ripped off. We just settle in a big budget with a big increase, and now you're throwing this on top of it. That's gonna be, our capital budget with the bonding. It's just costing us more money in the long run.
But it's
even
not.
though it's hidden, Chris.
It's not hidden.
It's hidden.
It's hardly hidden, John. That one I can't let you get away with. It's not hidden. We're not trying to get away with anything.
It's added in later on with the bonding.
Essentially, the budget that was approved last month, and I'll give you more time because I'm taking up some of your time, but the budget that was approved in April, any bonding we have to do resulting from this referendum is in that budget. We do not have to increase anything. We don't have to add anything. It's just simply the taxpayers have approved this amount of money to spend, and we're just saying, here's how we're going to spend a portion of that money.
I agree, but you're prolonging it. You're still borrowing more money when it could have ended. It could have ended and stopped, but we're extending it. Am I right?
I'm not sure I follow what you're saying.
Yeah, we're borrowing more money.
The town borrows money.
So
That's something that happens long before I was here, and it will continue to happen long after I'm here.
Exactly. But that's when you have major projects, like the sewer system, what we're doing now with a pump station. That's understandable. But this other stuff, it's just, to me, it doesn't seem right, but that's just.
And that's fine. You're certainly entitled to feel that way. But I just want to make it clear that this isn't, we're not adding anything to the budget. The debt service line item can accommodate at 4.4 or $4.325 million, can accommodate this particular referendum that's happening on June 3rd.
As we're paying it down every year, this is extending it, so it's still there. That's the way I look at it. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate you letting me talk about it. Now, I have one last thing. You remember my good buddy, Joanne 3-Minute Edmond, who I once walked away from this podium? Well, she's expressing a strong desire to come before you and entertain you for 3 minutes. So in the near future, I'm going to probably try to bring her up here so you can have some fun. Thank you.
If there's a script, we're going to have to go through the script before she just gets up there. This could go sideways really quick.
She might sing for you, Chris.
All right. That's fine. But thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? Yes, Mr. Chase.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I can speak on this or ask you this or not, but could I speak on the minutes from the Plainville Town Council special meeting on?
You can, just if you could give your name and address.
I'm sorry, yes, Mark Chase, 36 Pequot. So the special meeting on May 5th, 2025, I'm sort of quoting from the minutes. This was the meeting, the council and the Charter Revision Commission with Chairman Gasparini suggested the language proposed by the commission regarding the town manager's residency requirement. The commission determined that police chief and fire chief do not have residency requirements, and for consistency, the town manager should not have a residency requirement. Now, I agree with the police chief. I think it's under chapter 97 in the charter that it does stipulate that he has to live within Connecticut. Within the charter in chapter 38, for the fire department, the composition, which is 38.1, it says there should be a division of fire suppression, also known as the Plainville Fire Department, comprised of a chief, deputy chief, first assistant, second assistant, and chief. Then there's 38.2. It says fire company and fire department, both of them. An applicant shall be a resident of the town of Plainville or a resident of a neighboring town and live within 3 driving miles of the town of Plainville Fire Station. So I know the comparison was made between the chief of police and the fire chief, that they had the same requirements, but there is a discrepancy there. That's all I
Okay.
wanted to
And just
say.
going forward, I think June 16th, the commission is supposed to give us their final recommendations. So what we had, that special meeting was simply, they kind of were getting towards the end of their discussions, and they just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else the council wanted them to discuss, or just an opportunity for us. So it's not a final recommendation, but that is coming before June
Okay.
16th,
I
so just
wanted to
so
make
you're
sure
aware.
you were
Yep.
aware of the differences between the two
Yes.
divisions, and
Thank you.
it's not a side by side, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wish to address the council? Yes, Mrs. Charette.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Marilyn Charette, 18 Belford Street in Plainville. I'm glad to be here tonight. Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
I have a couple of issues. First of all, I thought that the town manager would really appreciate having John be his real estate agent. He's very thorough, and he knows exactly, at least he believes he does, knows what you're looking for. And that is a beautiful house, by the way. I'm glad you had the opportunity to look at it. But think about talking to him. But anyway, on a little bit more serious note, although I still believe you should live in Plainville, you really like us here, you know. This trail business has really got me pretty annoyed, to put it mildly. And I'll respect what you said, that it can no longer be on Farmington Avenue, how I highly disagree. I don't care what you have for a starting point or an ending point, you can scrap that. With the millions of dollars that you've already spent in this town to try and get it right, it's an absolute disgrace. Personally, I don't even want it in Plainville. Not with the way that I see millions of dollars being wasted. We have people going hungry, people that need medical attention. We have a budget in Connecticut that is a disgrace, and we're throwing money on a trail? I don't think so. What is wrong with Farmington Avenue? Southington has the police chief involved, and he told them the roads that they can and cannot go down. We should be involving our police chief if we have to have it. Something for you to think about. I, for one, foresee coming down North Washington Street in any fashion, going through those intersections, Washington Street, North Washington Street, South Washington Street, it's a nightmare. Traffic-wise, somebody's gonna get killed over there. And it's something that you all should really, really think about. I would like to request one thing. I want all these people that are trying to put together this trail, none of them live in Plainville. None of them are gonna be affected. I want them to come here and listen to us. I want an open hearing again, and I think it's important. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? All right, seeing no one, we will close public comments. We're not taking any action under old business tonight, so we can move to item 11, new business.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Tompkins.
motion to approve the 2025 Neighborhood Assistance Act proposal for the Prudence Crandall Center, Inc., Rose Hill HVAC Energy Efficiency Project in the amount of $143,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Gettleman.
motion to establish a public hearing on Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center to hear public comments regarding proposed amendments to ordinance Chapter 269, massage establishments.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3,
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Moranti.
motion to establish a public informational meeting and public hearing on Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in the Municipal Center to hear public comment regarding the reconstruction of Camp Street and Corbin Avenue project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.
Mr. Chair. Oh,
I'll
ahead.
go Councilman Hurley.
Motion to, A, set the mill rate at 32.46 for motors vehicles for fiscal year 2026. B, to set the mill rate at 34.36 for real estate and personal property for fiscal year 2026.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 5,
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Tompkins.
motion to approve the tax refunds as listed on the addendum.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the tax refunds? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That concludes new business. Item 12, any other discussions of interest? All right, just one little, I was approached by the Willowbrook Estate neighborhood. They're the new development across from Maxine Road. They have made a request to be considered, or they would like to be able to pay for garbage and recycling pickup, just like other condominium units. I guess this is a planned unit development. It's not exactly like, but they've requested that we look into the possibility of them being able to have the town pick up their garbage after a conversation or a couple conversations with the town manager and town attorney. I think what we're gonna do is, there are some questions that we need to get through, but for the June 2nd meeting, I would plan on that being an agenda item, and I would imagine before that, we will forward any information we think we need to, so be prepared to discuss that at the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a question. So there's a certain amount of units there, but only like a portion, maybe 12 are in Plainville and the rest are Farmington, correct?
There's 38 out of the 62 unit or houses are in Plainville.
Okay. So more than 50%.
Yes, and this would just relate to those in Plainville. This doesn't relate to the ones in Farmington.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Okay. As far as I know, but right, I don't want to, but no, that was my understanding.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do they pay a condo fee or any kind of a fee to the association?
I don't know that, and that's what I
think
mean.
That's
is-
important to find out.
Okay, and I'll add that to the list of questions, but that's why we do need to get some background information, I think, before discussing it as a council, so I will add that. Okay. All right, any other discussions of interest?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd be interested in knowing whether or not the price of pickup, garbage pickup would go up for the town of Plainville if we add them to the list, and how much it'll go up.
Okay. Now, I don't know how much, yeah, we'll add that. I'm not gonna try and answer it now.
That contract is due soon, isn't it?
Not that particular.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want
We have two different contracts with CWPM. We have a residential contract that includes residential curbside collection for waste, recycling, and bulky pickup. And then we have a separate contract with CWPM for condos. That's the one we're speaking about. The one that is expiring that we're working on now is the residential one. So not the one that is being referred to in this conversation.
Okay, thank you for clarifying it. All right, any other comments or questions? If there's none, there's no matters appropriate for executive session. We can actually entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. We will be back on Monday, June 2nd for our next regular meeting.